When I was a kid, maybe like 2 or 3 years old, I was really little. So my parents didn't really know what to do with me when I was crying. And so they would pick me up and sit me on top of like a really tall ledge on like a table or in the cupboard or something really high, so that I would kind of like freeze and stop crying, and I wouldn't know what to do, right? Anyway, ethnic parents, obviously no one taught them the impacts of brain development at different stages of our life and all of that stuff. Nevertheless, this is what they thought would help. Me being in that situation, I over time learned that in order for me to become unstuck and to find a way out, that I was going to have to wait for someone else to eventually come and get me out of that situation. This also reminds me of a story about a beautiful baby elephant that was once kidnapped and taken to be part of this evil circus in Thailand. So when they first captured this elephant and they took it to Thailand, they tied its leg against a tree using like a really heavy metal chain, and they chained him to this tree so that he could never leave. And so what this baby would do, it would try so hard to break free, always try and pull away, but it just learned over time that no matter how hard it tried to get away, it just wouldn't be able to. Years and years went by, and this baby elephant was no longer a baby, and it was part of this circus, forever held hostage away from its family and friends. So sad. But the interesting part is eventually, because the elephant had been there for so long, the owners, they realized that, you know what, we don't actually really need to use this big metal heavy chain thing anymore. They ended up tying this elephant that wasn't even a baby anymore, like a full, huge, grown-up elephant. They ended up tying it to the tree with this small little piece of string, this tiny little thin rope that could just like snap in a second. Why did they get away with doing this? Because that elephant had already learned that no matter what it does, it won't be able to get away. And so day in and day out, this elephant just stayed put while it was tied to this tree with nothing other than a piece of string. Oh my goodness. Okay, what we're talking about here is learned helplessness. We can also describe learned helplessness to be like a learned powerlessness. Every single one of us on this planet have been influenced by this belief at some stage in our life. As a society, we have all been taught that we need to wait for things outside of us to come and save us. You know, a lot of religions have taught us this, that there's going to be a day where something comes along and fixes everything. You know, so we've all just kind of been under this impression that if we just stay put, aka stay stuck, that eventually something will come along and save us. It's so twisted in a sense that like we've come to believe that we actually get stuck. Whereas like that stuckness is just an idea or a notion that has been created by the mind, believing that it's stuck because of these experiences in our life where we learn that we are helpless. So learned helplessness or learned powerlessness is essentially the idea that you've tried to get out of something or to do something so many times and you haven't succeeded. So you've come to the conclusion that there's no point in even trying anymore and that you're just going to stay stuck in that situation. You know, even when we go to school, for example, there's a lot of us that can't do a lot of the things that they want you to do in school. You know, I remember when I was a kid, I just like, no matter how hard I tried, I just could not go across the monkey bars. Like I just didn't know how to hold my weight up and to make my way across. Anything kind of physical in that way, it was really tough. And eventually I just learned that I just couldn't do that. I was just someone that couldn't do that. This is when we then go into forming the identity around it as well, to say like, I am someone who does not do this. I am someone who does not go outside of my comfort zone. I am someone who needs other people to help me. Do you know what I mean? Like essentially, all of us are nothing, not in a bad way, in a really beautiful way. We are nothing and we are everything at the same time. But then we start to create these beliefs about ourselves, and beliefs are essentially just thoughts that we've had that many times that they've eventually turned into beliefs. To simplify this, it's like every single one of us are truly capable of anything that we want to do. Like we are all equally capable. We are all expressions of the divine. We are all expressions of the creator. And so we're not separate, right? If you're sitting outside and you look at a tree, you might see like a little branch fall off of that tree onto the ground. Just because that branch is no longer a part of the tree in physical form, it doesn't mean it isn't still the tree, you know? It's just a part of it, you know? And that's like us, because at the end of the day, the creator is everything. Everything is the creator, you know? And that includes us. So anyway, not to get too off topic, but the point is that like none of us have a fixed identity. We are what we believe to be. And so when we go through experiences in life where we aren't able to do something, we create these beliefs about ourselves that we're not capable. And then we turn these beliefs into an identity. And then we walk around with these like false identities that we have just like carried. Like it's like we've just pretended that we can't do something or that we are someone, and we pretended so well that we have essentially fallen for it and start believing it, you know? That's why it's so important to know that just because you think something, it doesn't make it true. And the moment you start to change your thinking about something, anything is possible. If you're someone who feels really stuck and you feel like you just don't know how to move forward, you know, there might be a little bit underneath it all, just a slither of a belief that something else is gonna come and make things better. And that's why a lot of the time people don't make changes until they're at like full on rock bottom, because they're like, all right, looks like no one is going to come and help me. Like I better do something about this, because otherwise I will just wither away and die. You know what I mean? Like that's why a lot of us wait till we realize like, oh, like nothing else is actually gonna come, you know, and then we start to make some moves. I'm talking to you as someone who has been under the impression her whole life that she just could not do things. And no matter how much proof I had that I could, I still just wouldn't believe it. And it's like all I would ever do was look for reasons to see otherwise. On a neurological standpoint, when we have a belief about something, our mind will do whatever it can to uphold that belief as being true, even if it's detrimental to us. So if you believe you can't do something, instead of your mind going and looking for all the times you could do something as little as being a baby and not liking your vegetables and then one day learning to like them, you know, like there are so many examples as to why you can do something, but because you hold this belief that you can't and that you're helpless and that you're just not capable, your mind is going to always try and find things to prove that to be true. What I'm trying to get at in this video is to show you that like nothing is real until we make it so, with the labels and definitions that we create with our mind. So if you're someone who is struggling to move forward because you believe you can't, I want you to know firstly that like it's not about what you're striving for. A lot of people mistakenly believe that it's the goal that they need to get up and move towards, and that that's what's going to bring them the fulfillment. But the truth is, what's going to bring you the fulfillment, especially if you're someone who has felt stuck most of their life and helpless and waited for other people to help them, you will find that the true treasure, the true gift in it all is not you going for something, it's you breaking that belief. It's you actually taking action, whether it succeeds or not, kind of like you standing up for yourself and proving your false beliefs as being wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's that process that is like the true treasure. So if no one was gonna come and save you and you don't want to be in the situation you're in right now, what is one really tiny act that you can make today to save yourself, to be that person that comes in and looks after you? It's that act that is going to be the most fulfilling for you, because that act is like an act of self-love. And every time we act in self-love, essentially what we're doing is we're reminding ourselves that we are one with the Creator and that we are one with life. And you guys, like that is why we're here. Like, you know, there is nothing more fulfilling. There is no goal. There is no achievement. It's just the realization that you are one with the Creator. And to come to that realization, you need to start pouring love into yourself. And to pour love into yourself, you need to start acting as though you are your own savior, because you're not waiting anymore. And we're not talking about something massive. Like, we're talking just like something really little that can just like get that wheel turning, you know? A lot of us females, we don't realize it, but we give a lot of our power to our partner. And in a lot of cultures, this is just something that has been like ingrained within our DNA, where the female partner ends up just becoming powerless, and their partner is like the one like in charge of money and provides them with the house, blah, blah, blah. That's like the extreme version. But on the daily, you know, how many times do we rely on our partner to be there to make sure things are okay, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with partnership and sharing love. But when you start to rely on it in order to feel like you're okay, not to get too off topic, but I feel like this is just another expression of that learned helplessness or learned powerlessness that we've all kind of been tricked into, you know, believing that there's something else that will come and save us, and that can even become our partners, you know. Not to say that you need to do something this extreme, but a few years ago, I started to get this really crazy nudge, like I needed to leave my fiance of 10 years, you guys. Like, him and I were like together since we were like 14, 15, best friends, like full on like tied to the hip. And then we fell in love when we were in our early 20s. And oh my goodness, like it was just like we were each other's like everything, you know. I started to get this like pull one day to like leave it all behind and to just like go start fresh somewhere in another city. And oh my gosh, you guys, please know how much I fought this. I was so scared. Like, I didn't want to. So for years and years, I resisted this. I resisted it, but it just started to get really hard. Like, you know, when the universe or God, whatever you want to call it, is like really trying to, you know, open your eyes to something, and it's like no matter where you turn, you just can't ignore it anymore. Do you know what I mean? It kind of got to that. Even when I say universe or God, it was probably just me, you know, my own higher self, but it doesn't really matter who or what it was. Eventually I caved and I left. And when I was out in this city by myself, I realized, oh my God, like I literally don't know how to look after myself. Whether it's anxious, sad, angry, like when those emotions come up, all our being ever wants is for us to acknowledge and accept it and allow those emotions to be there so that it can move on, right? But usually what we do is we turn to things outside of us to soothe us, as though to say that those emotions and things aren't acceptable and that they aren't okay. I don't know if you're aware of how everything is shifting around us. Like, things are changing, you know? But I want you to know that like, that means everyone, you know? It's not about like being spiritual and like just people in those communities waking up. It's about every single one of us, like every single one of us coming home to love and dismantling all of these illusions that we have created, including the fact that we are powerless and helpless, you know? Sometimes it can be really comforting to be in that place of powerlessness, because essentially, like, if we are subconsciously just waiting for something to come and save us, that's probably just another manifestation of like the child within us wanting someone to come and nurture us and take care of us, which is so cute. Like, it's all right, you know, it's okay that we have these longings, but like, I just want you to know that like nothing is more healing than your own nurturing and being there for yourself. And one way that you can do that is by caring enough about yourself to get yourself out of whatever situation you're in. Remembering that anything that took you away from who you are, any belief, any difficult emotion that makes you think that you are small, is just created by the mind. Feels very real. And of course, you're still experiencing the discomfort that comes with it. We're not minimizing it, but it's still not the reality. Because if it were the reality, then that would mean that the creator is little too, you know? Another example we can look at is like, if you see a light beam from the sun shining through the window right now, that light beam, that sunshine is not just this random light that came out of nowhere. It's still part of the sun, you know? That's like us. We're still part of the Creator. And so any belief that we have that we are incapable or small is clearly just like a foreign object, you know? It's like a parasite, like a foreign idea that just isn't quite right. You know what I mean? Anyway, if you need help coming back to just the truth of who you are, just feeling good again, if you just need support feeling good again and feeling good about your life, and just you want to like turn a page now, like you're sick of feeling low or anxious all the time, I'm a qualified therapist. I've been working as a therapist for almost 10 years. I see people online all around the world, or face-to-face in Melbourne, Australia. And yeah, I would love to help you. I'm offering a free strategy call. We pretty much just chat for free about what you might need help with and how we can support you. I practice a really unique type of therapy, and yeah, you'll learn more about it if there's something you're interested in. All right, well, anyway, thanks for watching and good luck with everything. Please don't give up. You know, any action counts, and you know, there is nothing more beautiful than being your own savior. There is nothing more beautiful. I honestly wonder if you're like in a place right now where you're struggling, I honestly wonder whether it would even be as fulfilling and healing for you if someone or something actually came along. If someone else came to save you, it wouldn't even be saving you. It would just then therefore be taking your power away again in a different way, and now you've just formed a dependency and attachment to this other person or thing, thinking that you always need this thing in order to be okay. And so whenever you don't have that thing, you think you're not okay. Like, just trust me guys, like we need to be our own best friend, our own savior, our own everything. Okay, plus we have all of the people around us as support, you know, as bonuses, but not the main thing. Anyway guys, thanks for listening. I got a little off topic again. Talk to you soon. Bye.